Extra, and I'm with Douglas Elliott, who has been the lawyer for the GSA Coalition, which has been working to push the government to get Bill 13 passed at Queen's Park. And today we saw a unanimous consent motion pass at Queen's Park, and we also saw Bill 13 head to committee with Bill 14. So, Doug, how do you feel about this? What happened today at Queen's Park?
I'm very relieved. It's been a very tense time at Queen's Park. You know, it's been shocking to me really how difficult it has been to get this done. When you consider that politicians on all three sides spoke about how they wanted to do something about bullying in schools and they were committed to getting legislation passed, the fact that it's taken this long, we're on the edge of not having a new law in place in September. It's been nerve-wracking, but I'm really relieved today. And I'm really happy that it was eventually able to be done on a basis of an agreement amongst the three parties, because the alternative would have been the Liberals and the NDP ganging up on the Conservatives, and that would have been a little trickier situation and maybe wouldn't have played out ideally down the line. So it worked out in the end well.
Committee stage could get ugly, as Glenn Murray told me today. The GSA issue, and that was very obvious today, that has been the one thing that they have been holding hostage. The reason why the bill has been held hostage is because they take issue with the words gay straight alliance. Right. How do you feel this is going to play out in committee, especially given the fact the chair and the vice chair of the Social Policy Committee are both Conservatives?
I'm sure it's going to be a very contentious issue. I have no doubt that it's going to be contentious in general, and I think it's also going to be contentious with respect to Catholic schools in particular. They've been especially sensitive about the issue of GSAs, although, let's be fair, there's lots of public school supporters who don't like the word gay either. So I think it's going to be a very contentious issue, but in the long run, I feel optimistic about it because the Liberals have been very clear about their support for this principle, and as have the NDP. So the Conservatives now, the only thing they had going for them to try and block the GSAs was procedural tactics, and that's now out of the way. So I'm hoping now that we can work together to come up with some solutions, because some of the concerns that have been expressed from the Conservative side, I actually have sympathy for, and I think it's just a question of understanding. For example, I've heard them say they don't want the term gay straight alliance imposed on high school kids, that they should have the freedom to choose a name. Well, I agree with that. I mean, I know high school kids who don't like the name gay straight alliance. You know, it doesn't include lesbians, it doesn't include trans people, intersex. It's kind of narrow. But other kids really like that name because it starts off with gay and it's kind of well known what it stands for.
It's a brand.
It's a brand.
Yeah.
And it's a category of club, and they like it and they'd like to use that name. And our position is very clear. If the kids want to use that name, then they have the right to use that name, and the law should reflect that. I mean, I want to be real clear. Even in the absence of this law, I believe the kids have the right to use that name. I believe that's guaranteed by the Charter of Rights. But it will be helpful for high school kids if that's spelled out in a statute, as opposed to having to rely on Doug Elliott taking their school board to court.
And along those lines, we have the language that's in the bill right now, where it says gay straight alliance or another name. Students and activists have been saying, well, that should be changed to as decided by students. That could be one amendment that could be put forward in committee, right?
Absolutely, and we wouldn't have a problem with that. I mean, our fundamental 2 points about this law, once it goes through, have been clear from the very beginning. The first is that kids who want to form a club that's centered on sexual orientation or gender identity or both should have the right to do that, that they shouldn't be forced into an all-encompassing human rights club or whatever they want to call it. If they want a focused club on LGBT issues or LGBT people, then they should have the right to do that. And the second thing that we've been very clear about is that the choice of name should not be in the hands of the school board or the parents. The choice of name should be in the hands of the students.
Thanks so much, Doug. I appreciate all your work on this.
Okay, thank you, Andrea. Thanks for your interest in the issue. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.